You saw the title. Yes, they really walked away.
All right, this is one of them stories I'm not proud of, but it's the truth. I did turn down Neo in The Matrix.
Today we are dedicating the 2624th Walk of Fame star to one of Hollywood's hottest actors, Dwayne Johnson.
Tonight we're breaking down 9 stars who turned down secure 7- and 8-figure sports money for the chaos of fame. We'll show you the exact contract each one could have signed, and the moment they said no. What would make someone trade guaranteed millions for auditions, studio sessions, and total uncertainty? Stay, because the biggest deal on this list would have set them up for life, and the reason they passed will change how you see them forever. How big were the checks? Big enough to rewrite a life overnight. A-listers turned down real money with real clauses, and the reasons weren't always ego. Some had firm offers on paper. Others had clear pathways, rookie deals, bonuses, incentives that added up to serious cash. One of them had a path to 8 figures before their first billboard went up. Here's the core trade-off: a guaranteed roster spot or signing bonus today versus auditions, tours, and a brand that might take years to build. Sports hands you a contract. Entertainment makes you earn every line and stream. There's one deal on this list that would have landed in the 8-figure range within a few seasons if everything held. The twist is, the pivot came before the biggest money hit the table. But let's be real, not every offer is a signed contract. Some are camp invites with partial guarantees. Some are practice squad tracks that depend on staying healthy and surviving cuts. Others are preseason deals that vanish by opening night. So when people say they turned down millions, the question is whether those dollars were guaranteed, probable, or just possible. Will Smith's football window sits in the late 80s into the early 90s. He was athletic, there was buzz about NFL interest, and the numbers tossed around hit low to mid-6 figures at the time for a new player breaking in, scaling into 7 figures if he stuck. The reality check: the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air opened a door he could walk through immediately. Steady TV money, national exposure, and a platform that led to film. The rumored team interest never crystallized into a reported, signed deal, and the timeline collided with him locking in a series lead. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's path was clearer on the money side. CFL salaries in the mid-90s were modest, and many guys supplemented income in the offseason. If he had clawed into an NFL practice squad, he would have been looking at league minimum tracks that, over a few seasons, add up to low 7 figures. Maybe mid if he earned active roster time. It's professional, but fragile. He walked toward pro wrestling, where the pay started smaller but escalated with merch, live gates, and then Hollywood. The math flipped as his persona scaled. Mark Wahlberg had a legit baseball pipeline as a teen. Scouts watched him. Late, ADS MLB signing bonuses for high school prospects ranged widely, but a strong regional prospect could see mid-5 to low 6 figures, with the upside relying on development and arbitration years down the line. The 8-figure upside comes if you actually ascend to a premier major leaguer across multiple contracts, which is a big if. He grabbed early traction in music, then parlayed it into acting, where the cash curve ramped faster than a minor league climb. Master P actually signed preseason deals with NBA teams. Those 10-day and camp contracts carry small guarantees or none, but a 2-way or back-end roster spot could have translated into low to mid-6 figures for a season, and more with a multi-year foothold. He had real reps, though the guaranteed portion was limited. J. Cole drew tryout interest from pro teams and flirted with the G League and overseas. Realistic earnings there can sit in the tens of thousands domestically, with 6-figure possibilities in certain overseas leagues if you stick, but stability varies by country and club. To ground the scale, rookie deals in those eras often clustered around league minimums with partial guarantees. MLB bonuses for non-first-rounders sat far below headline figures, and NFL money without early-round draft status leaned fragile. Adjusted for inflation, even a $250,000 guarantee then lands well into today's 6 figures. The largest documented path here belongs to The Rock's potential NFL earnings if he'd stuck and escalated. But the pivotal moment was his move to wrestling. He chose a brand he could own, which leads to the real question. If the dollars can be mapped, why walk away from stability for auditions, late nights, and a long shot at cultural reach? They had numbers that looked life-proof, but there's always a trigger. The check clears, sure, but the mind still asks, who am I on the other side of this season? That's where the shift happens. Not on a depth chart, but in a mirror. When the contract is short and the window is shorter, the calculus changes fast. Sports are brutal on timelines. Careers can peak in a few seasons, then fade with one wrong cut or a lingering shoulder. Meanwhile, studios and stages promise something different. You own your voice, you scale your brand, and you can still be relevant at 45 if you keep reinventing. Identity sneaks in here. Some of these stars love the game, but they loved creating more. A beat, a scene, a character. Those live longer than a stat line. And the reach? Global tours, syndication, catalog streams. That's not a locker room. That's a passport. There's pressure, though. Families who've seen the grind up close. Coaches who invested years. Teammates counting on you to stay. Then comes the gut feeling that the culture might move with you if you switch lanes. That clash gets loud. It's tradition versus trajectory. Safe versus scale. One side quotes stability, the other whispers legacy. Will Smith's fork in the road lined up with late nights and a growing TV lane. The risks in football were obvious. One hit and the plan shifts, while a lead role meant steady work and a national platform. Apparently, the moment he leaned into acting wasn't a grand speech. It was a practical call. Take the job, show up on set, and let the audience decide. He bet that a weekly spotlight would outlast a camp invite. And we saw how fast the wheel turned once the cameras rolled. For Dwayne Johnson, the numbers were thin and the odds thinner after he was cut from the CFL. According to his own stories, there was a week where a $7 paycheck sat in his wallet as a wake-up call. Then came the phone call that redirected everything toward pro wrestling. Fans were quick to clock how fast momentum built once he stepped into the ring. Mike's skills, persona, paydays that scaled with every chant. That pivot took him from a roster maybe to a brand definitely. Mark Wahlberg had the discipline for baseball, but the pull of early music fame hit louder. Scouts showed up, sure, but the new Kids era bleed into his own projects delivered concrete momentum, studio time, radio spins, public demand. He chose reps in front of cameras over reps in the cage. Rumors suggest the turning point came when appearances and recording dates started clashing with training, and the heat on the entertainment side felt immediate. Justin Timberlake grew up with junior golf talent and chatter around scholarships. Nothing firm materialized. The family chose a TV route with the Mickey Mouse Club, and the runway from there was clear: variety training, stage time, then the group that turned into arena-scale pop. He reframed a sports maybe into a performance yes, and that switch taught him how to compete in a different arena, one where the scoreboard is charts, not leaderboards. Underneath all of it is psychology. Loss aversion pushes most of us to hold the safe option. But long-game vision flips the bias. Ownership and brand equity mean you don't age out the same way. Residuals, catalogs, trademarks, those stack beyond peak athletic years. One star cited a simple reason that cuts through the noise: creative control. Keep your body healthier, control your schedule, and build work you can license for decades. So the motives weren't mysterious. They picked the lane where risk bought runway. Now comes the hard part: what those pivots cost in the short term and what they bought over time. The real bet wasn't money versus fame. It was a brief athletic peak versus decades of ownership, reinvention, and reach. Short contracts fade. Catalogs, trademarks, and roles keep paying when knees don't. That's the trade they made, and apparently, it's why the upside lasted. Drop a comment. Which pass shocked you most, and which pivot would you take, stadium guarantee or studio gamble? According to you, who actually made the smarter long play? Hit subscribe if you want the dollar-by-dollar breakdowns of more wild pivots. Next episode, we pull contract offers you've never heard about and stack them against the careers that came after.